The jungle on KLVI stretched thick and green under a bright yellow sun. The air hung heavy with wet heat and the smells of rotting leaves and blooming flowers. In a dark cave hidden by vines, a young Voroth cub opened its eyes for the first time outside the safety of its mother's den. The cub had 6 strong legs covered in soft black fur. Its body gleamed with faint blue lines that would one day flash bright when it hunted or fought. Now, those lines stayed dim because the cub felt small and unsure. The mother had left days earlier, as all Voroth mothers did. She taught her young nothing except how to stay alive. The cub already knew hunger. It knew the shapes of shadows that moved through the trees. It did not know its own shape yet. The cub stepped out of the cave mouth. Sunlight hit its fur and made it warm. The ground felt solid under its paws. It stretched each leg one by one and sniffed the wind. Nothing smelled like danger. Nothing smelled like food either. The cub walked forward, slowly testing the open world. Then it saw the dark shape on the ground in front of it. The shape moved when the cub moved. It had 6 legs, just like the cub. It had a long tail and pointed ears. The shape stretched far across the dirt and rocks. The cub stopped and stared. The dark thing did not run. It did not growl. It simply waited. The cub took 1 step forward. The shadow took 1 step too. The cub tilted its head. The shadow tilted its head. The cub lifted a front paw high. The shadow lifted a front paw high. The cub felt something hot rise inside its chest. This was wrong. This dark thing wore the cub's own smell. It copied every move. It stood on the cub's ground. The cub growled low in its throat. The sound came out small but fierce. The shadow stayed silent. The cub bared its teeth. The shadow bared its teeth back. The cub lunged forward with open jaws. It snapped at the dark shape on the ground. Its teeth hit only dirt. The shadow slid away smooth and quick. The cub spun around. Shadow spun with it. Anger burned brighter now. The cub attacked again and again. It clawed the earth. It stomped hard with all 6 legs. It roared until its throat hurt. The shadow never fought back. It never bled. It never ran away. It grew longer as the sun climbed higher. It grew shorter when clouds passed overhead. It always came back. High above the jungle, a silver survey ship circled in quiet orbit. Inside the ship, 3 aliens from different worlds watched screens. One was tall and thin with 4 eyes. Another had scales and clicked when it spoke. The third looked like a walking plant with vines for arms. They studied the young Voroth because their kind had never seen one act this way before. "Look at the data," the tall one said. "The juvenile shows classic signs of Shadow War syndrome. It mistakes its own projection for a rival." The scaly one clicked twice. "That happens once every few generations in solitary apex predators. Most outgrow it. This one seems worse." Plant being rustled its leaves. "We should note the behavior for the archive. It will exhaust itself soon. Enough injury, and it dies young." They kept watching. The cub fought on. It chased the shadow across open ground. It leaped over logs. It rolled in mud to make the dark shape harder to see. Nothing worked. The shadow stayed perfect. It matched every leap, every twist, every angry snap. The cub panted hard now. Blue lines flickered weak along its sides. It stopped to rest under a wide leaf. The shadow rested too, right beside it. The cub glared. The shadow glared back. The cub swiped one last time. Its claws scraped stone. The shadow did not flinch. Far away, another ship moved through empty space. A human freighter named Steady Hand carried cargo between stars. The crew heard the survey broadcast because the aliens left their channel open. Captain Reyes sat in the bridge chair with his boots on the console. He listened to the report about the crazy Voroth cub. He laughed loud enough to make The engineer turned around. "What's so funny?" asked the engineer. "Kids shadowboxing," Reyes said. "Reminds me of when I was 5. I punched my own reflection in the mirror because it copied me too good." The engineer grinned. "You want to go look?" "Against rules," said Reyes, "but rules never stopped us before. Plot a course. We drop some drones just to watch. No landing, no contact, just eyes in the sky." The navigator shrugged and entered commands. The steady hand turned toward KLV. Back on the ground, the cub refused to quit. It hunted less, it slept less, it spent every waking hour stalking the dark enemy. It learned new ways to fight. It hid behind trees so the shadow appeared small, then burst out roaring. It climbed low branches so the shadows stretched tall across the forest floor. It even waited for night, when moonlight made the shadow faint and silver. Still the shadow came. It still copied. It still refused to lose. The cub grew thinner, its fur matted with dirt and sap. Scratches covered its legs, from thorns and rocks. One ear had a fresh tear from a sharp branch. The blue lines along its body glowed only when rage peaked. Most of the time, they stayed dark and tired. The survey aliens watched every move. They recorded hours of footage. They wrote notes about instinct gone wrong. They prepared a dart gun to capture the cub for closer study. They wanted tissue samples. They wanted brain scans. They wanted to understand why this one fought harder than any before. The cub did not know about ships, or darts, or notes. It knew only the enemy in front of it. The enemy that looked exactly like itself. The enemy that never gave up. The enemy that lived on the ground and in the trees and under every light. The cub decided something deep inside its young mind. This war would not end until one of them died. It crouched low, tail flat, eyes locked on the long black shape. The sun burned high again. The shadows stretched far and thin. The cub felt strength in its legs, felt fire in its chest. It rose slowly, ready for the next attack, ready to prove who ruled this place. Above the jungle, the survey ship hummed quietly. The aliens waited for the end. They expected. High above that, the human freighter approached fast. Captain Reyes leaned forward in his chair. He stared at the drone feed of the small black cub fighting its own dark twin. He shook his head and smiled. "Stubborn little guy," he said. "Let's see how this plays out." The cub did not hear the words. It did not know humans existed. It knew only the shadow, the fight, and the need to win, no matter what. The jungle watched in silence. The war had just begun. Weeks passed on KLVI, and the jungle stayed thick and hot. The young Vorath cub grew thinner every day. Its black fur looked dull now. The bright blue lines on its body flashed only when it attacked. They stayed dark most of the time. The cub hunted less. It slept in short bursts. It spent almost every hour chasing its shadow. Under the strong sun, the shadow stretched long and black. The cub learned to hate that shape more than anything. It knew the smell of rain and the sound of birds, but nothing mattered except the dark thing on the ground. The cub hid behind thick bushes. It waited until the shadow looked small. Then it exploded out with a roar and slammed its paws down. The shadow vanished for a second under the leaves. Then it came back perfect and mocking. The cub tried new tricks. It rolled in thick mud to hide its real body. It hoped the shadow would lose track. It waited for clouds to cover the sun so the shadow grew faint. Then it pounced hard, copied every roll, every jump, every angry snap. The cub scratched deeper into the dirt. Its claws bled a little. The pain did not stop it. One night under silver moonlight, the cub sat still for a long time. The moon made the shadow thin and pale like a ghost. The cub stared at it. The shadow stared back. The cub lifted one paw slow. The shadow lifted one paw slow. The cub felt something twist inside its chest. This enemy never ate, never drank, never grew tired. It just waited. It just copied. The cub growled soft and tired. Then it attacked again. High above in the survey ship, the aliens kept watching their screens. The tall one with 4 eyes spoke first. The juvenile has lost 20% of body mass. It hunts only when hunger forces it. The rest is war. The scaly one clicked. Its stress markers spike every time light changes. We should prepare the capture team. We can study the brain patterns up close. Maybe fix the glitch in future litters. The plant being rustled. We wait one more cycle. If it collapses, we collect the body for full dissection. They sent small scout drones closer. The drones hummed quiet. They dropped tiny cameras in trees. The cub saw them once. It thought the drones made new shadows. It charged the floating lights. It leaped high and snapped. Its jaws closed on empty air. The drone moved away. The cub roared louder. It hated these new helpers of the shadow. The survey team decided, enough. They loaded tranquilizer darts. They planned a night drop when the cub slept deep. They wanted it alive, but calm. They wanted samples from blood and bone. They wanted to write papers about the rare syndrome. Far away, the human freighter's steady hands stayed in orbit. Captain Reyes watched the drone feeds every day. His crew gathered around the small screen. They saw the cub thinner now. They saw the scars on its legs. They saw the way it fought, even when it could barely stand. "Poor stubborn kid," said the engineer named Maria. She crossed her arms. "Himself over nothing." Reyes rubbed his chin. "He's not nothing. He's just never seen a mirror. He thinks the shadow is another Vorath. Another male come to steal his ground." The pilot laughed. "You going soft, Captain?" Reyes smiled. "Not soft. Just interested. No rule says we can't drop a few more toys. Maybe give the kid a break." Maria raised an eyebrow. "Toys?" Reyes nodded. "One of the techs can rig a holo projector. Small drone. Simple program. Cast fake shadows somewhere else. Pull his attention away from the real one." The crew liked the idea. They worked fast. The engineer built a small flying unit. It carried a bright light and a HoloLens. It could make shapes on the ground. Any shape. Any size. They tested it in the cargo bay. They made fake animals, fake trees, fake Vorath cubs. The hollow shadows moved and danced. They launched the drone at dawn. It flew low over the jungle. It found the cub near a stream. The real shadow stretched beside the water. Strike. The drone hovered high. It turned on the hollow light. It cast 3 new shadows on the far bank. They looked like small Vorath. They moved like they hunted. The cub froze. Its head turned. The blue lines flared bright. It saw the new enemies. They smelled like nothing but light. They stood on open ground. The cub forgot its old shadow for a moment. It charged across the stream. Water splashed high. It roared and leaped. The hollow shadows flickered and ran. The cub chased them. It slammed paws down. It bit at the ground. The fake shapes dodged and twisted. The cub felt joy for the first time in weeks. It had enemies it could reach. The drone kept the hollow running. The cub hunted the fake shadows for an hour. It grew tired but happy. It panted and sat. The hollow shadows sat too. The cub swiped once more. The shapes vanished. The drone flew away quiet. The cub looked around. Its old shadow waited on the ground again, long and black. The cub stared. The joy faded. The old enemy came back, growled low. It stepped toward the real shadow. It attacked again. The war started fresh. In orbit, the crew watched. Maria shook her head. It worked for a bit. Then he went right back. Reyes leaned closer. He's smart. He knows the difference. The fake ones don't smell right. They don't fight back hard enough. He wants the real fight. The survey team saw the hollow drone too. They sent a warning. No interference allowed. This is a protected study site. Humans must withdraw. Reyes sent a short reply. Back off. We're just watching, same as you. The aliens grew angry. They sped up their capture plan. They loaded more darts. They prepared a ground team. They wanted the cub secured before the humans did something stupid. On the ground, the cub grew weaker. It limped now. One back leg dragged from a bad twist. It still fought. The shadow grew huge at sunset. The cub stood tall on a rock. It roared at the giant dart shape. The shadow roared back, silent. The cub felt small but fierce. It would not quit. It would win or die trying. The survey ship moved lower. They picked a spot near the stream. They waited for night. The cub slept under a wide tree. Its shadow curled beside it like a guard. The aliens smiled. This was the moment. Then the steady hand dropped another drone. This one bigger. It carried food packs. Real meat. Real fruit. The drone landed soft. It left the food in a pile. It flew away. The cub woke to the smell. It sniffed close. It ate fast. The food tasted good. It gave strength. The cub looked at its shadow. The dark thing waited. The cub growled soft. Then it ate more. Reyes watched the feed. He spoke quiet. "That's my boy. Eat up. You got a long fight ahead." The jungle stayed quiet. The cub grew a little stronger. The war went on. The aliens closed in. The humans watched closer. The shadow never left. The cub never stopped. The next day promised more light, more fight, more everything. The cub rose on shaky legs. It faced the sun. It faced the long black shape. War again. No end in sight. The survey ship sent its final warning to the steady hand. Humans must leave orbit now or face penalties. The aliens prepared their landing shuttle. They loaded more darts and nets. They chose dusk, when the cub's shadow stretched longest and looked most dangerous. They thought the tired animal would fall easy. Captain Reyes ignored the warning. He gathered his small team, 4 people total. Maria, the engineer who built the hollow drone. Jax, the pilot who liked animals too much. Doc, the medic who carried extra food. And Reyes himself. They packed light. No big guns, no armor. Just food, lights, mirrors, a big portable floodlight, and lots of patience. They wanted to meet the cub on its own terms. They landed quiet, far from the survey team, in a small clearing. The shuttle touched down soft, then went silent. The team walked through thick trees. They moved slow. They made no loud noise. The jungle smelled wet and alive. Birds called high above. Insects buzzed close. The team reached a wide open spot near the stream where the cub often rested. Dusk came fast. The sun dropped low. The sky turned orange and red. The cub appeared on a flat rock. Its body looked thinner. Its fur stuck out in clumps. One leg dragged a little. It saw the humans and froze. Its blue lines flared bright. It growled deep and low. It crouched, ready to charge. Reyes raised a hand, slow. "Everyone stay still," he whispered. He stepped forward alone. The others hung back. The cub watched every move. Its tail flipped side to side. Its ears pressed flat. Reyes stopped 10 steps away. He looked straight at the cub, not at the shadow. He spoke soft. "Hey kid, we come in peace." The cub did not understand words, but it felt the calm in the voice. It snarled louder. It took 1 step forward. Reyes did not run. He did not raise weapons. He turned on the big floodlight. The bright beam hit the ground behind him. It cast a huge human shadow, tall and wide, with arms stretched out. The shadow looked strange and big next to the cub's long black form. The cub paused, its head tilted. The blue lines flickered. Unsure, for the first time it saw another shadow, not its own, not fake from a drone, a real living shadow attached to a real living thing. The cub looked from its own dark twin to the new giant shape. It growled again, but softer. Maria smiled. She stepped up slow. She turned on a small hand light. It cast her shadow beside Reyes. The 2 human shadows stood together like guards. Jax and Doc did the same. Soon 4 big human shadows stretched across the dirt. They moved when the humans moved. They looked nothing like Vorath. They looked tall and flat and odd. The cub stared hard. Its growl died in its throat. It took a step closer, then stopped. Reyes knelt down slow. He kept his hands open. He spoke again. "We know your fight, kid. We've all fought shadows before." He lifted one arm high. His shadow arm reached long. The cub watched the shadow touch the edge of its own dark shape, without the real human moving closer. Sniffed the air. Humans smelled strange. Not like jungle. Not like threat. Not like food. Just different. The cub lifted one front paw, slow. It swiped at the air, toward Reyes' shadow. The paw passed through the dark shape on the ground. No blood, no pain. The shadow stayed perfect. The cub tried again. Harder. This time its claws scraped dirt. The shadow did not fight back. Reyes laughed. "Quiet. Good try," he said. He stood up slow. He started to move his arms in big circles. His shadow danced wild and silly. Maria joined in. She waved both hands fast. Her shadow twisted like it fought an invisible enemy. Jax dropped low and did a spin. His shadow spun too. Doc made his hands into animal shapes. His shadow became a running creature, then a bird with wings. The cub watched, mouth open a little. Its blue lines pulsed slow and steady. It forgot to growl. It forgot to charge. It sat back on its haunches, tail curled around its legs. The humans kept playing. They made their shadows fight each other. They made the shadows chase each other. They made the shadows bow and jump. The cub tilted its head side to side. It looked confused, but curious. Reyes stopped the silly moves. He knelt again. He extended one hand forward. His shadow hand reached toward the cub's shadow. The dark shapes almost touched on the ground. The real hand stayed far away. The cub stared at the almost touch. It lifted its own paw. Slow, it moved the paw so its shadow paw met the human shadow hand. The shadows overlapped for a second. No sound, no fight, just overlap. The cub froze again. Its blue lines glowed soft and steady. It sniffed closer to Reyes. The man stayed still. The cub took one more step. Its nose almost touched Reyes' boot. It smelled sweat and metal and something warm. The cub did not bite. It pulled back a little, then stepped forward again. It rubbed its head quick against Reyes' leg, like a test. Reyes stayed calm. He spoke soft. "That's it, kid. You win this round." He reached slow and dropped a piece of meat on the ground. Cub sniffed it, then ate fast. The others dropped more food. The cub ate more. Its hunger roared loud after weeks of little hunting. The survey team arrived. Then their shuttle landed hard nearby. The aliens stepped out. Tall, one scaly one, plant one. They carried dart guns. They saw the humans with the cub. They shouted, "No contact allowed. Remove yourselves now." The cub heard the new voices. It smelled the aliens. It remembered the darts from before. Its blue lines flared bright again. It stepped in front of Reyes. It growled loud and deep. Its body shook with new strength. The food and the strange game gave it energy. The cub bared teeth at the aliens. It would not let them close. Reyes stood up slow. He put a hand on the cub's back. The animal did not flinch. He looked at the aliens and spoke calm. "We aren't hurting him. We're helping. Stand down." The tall alien raised its dart gun. "You contaminate the specimen. This ends now." The cub roared louder. It lunged forward. One step. It looked back at Reyes, then at the aliens. It chose its side. It planted all 6 legs wide. It guarded the humans. Its shadow stretched huge under the floodlight. It looked fierce and ready. Maria whispered, "Hez protecting us." Jax grinned like a proud dad. Doc pulled out more food. He tossed it gentle toward the cub. The animal caught it mid-air, then turned back to face the aliens. The survey team hesitated. The cub looked different now. Not tired, not broken. Its eyes burned bright. Its growl rolled like thunder. The aliens lowered their guns slow. They backed toward their shuttle. They knew a full fight would injure the specimen they wanted to study. They retreated for now. Reyes knelt beside the cub again. He scratched behind its ears, gentle. The animal leaned into the touch for the first time. It rumbled low, not a growl, a different sound, almost content. The humans stayed in the clearing that night. They built a small fire. The cub lay close. Its shadow danced with them. Flames, the team took turns, watching the animal slept deep. For the first time in weeks, its breathing slow and even. In the morning, the survey ship sent another warning, but the humans did not leave. The cub woke hungry. It ate from their hands. It played with their shadows again. It swiped gentle now, not to kill, just to touch. The war still lived inside, but something new grew too. Trust and maybe friendship. The jungle watched quiet. The small black cub no longer fought alone. The shadows stayed, but now other shadows stood with it. Big, strange human shadows that danced and laughed and refused to run away. The war changed shape. It became something else, something no one expected. The cub looked at Reyes. Its blue lines glowed steady and strong. It stepped so its shadow covered the man's feet. No attack, just claim this human belongs here. The man smiled and nodded. The bond started small, but real. The days ahead promised more light, more food, more games, and maybe the end of the old, lonely war. Months rolled by, slow and steady, on KLV. The jungle stayed green and thick. The rains came hard, then stopped. The sun burned bright, every day. The young Voroth no longer looked like a thin, tired cub. It grew fast. Its black fur gleamed thick again. Its 6 legs moved strong and sure. The blue lines along its body flashed bright and clear when it played or hunted or guarded. The humans from the steady hand stayed close. They set up a simple camp near the stream. Small tents, a fire pit, stacks of food crates. They broke no big rules. They just lived quiet. They hunted small game with nets. They gathered fruit. They shared everything with the cub. The animal ate from their hands. Now it slept near the fire at night. Its big body curled tight. Its shadow danced soft with the flames. They turned the old war into games. Every morning when the sun rose high, they played shadow tag. Reyes stood in open ground. He moved his arms and legs fast. His shadow twisted and jumped. It swiped at the dark shape on the ground. It leaped high. It rolled low. The humans cheered loud every time the cub almost caught a human shadow. The animal rumbled deep, happy sounds. Maria brought small mirrors. She set them on rocks. The mirrors caught light and threw new shadows bright and sharp. The cub chased those too. It pawed at the glass, gentle. It learned the reflections came from real things, not enemies. Doc made shadow stories with his hands. He shaped birds flying high, mountains rising tall. The cub sat close, eyes wide. It tilted its head. It tried to copy with its own paws, clumsy but eager. Jax taught the cub to dodge. He ran slow in circles. The cub followed fast. Its 6 legs thundered soft. The game ended when the cub tackled Jax, gentle, no claws, no teeth, just weight and fur. Jax laughed and scratched the cub's ears. The animal purred low, a sound no Vorath made before. The cub still fought its own shadow, sometimes when stress came, when a loud noise rang out. Ship flew too low overhead, the blue lines flared, the growl rolled deep. The cub lunged at the long black shape. It clawed dirt, it roared loud, but the attacks looked different now. More show, less hurt. It stopped when tired. It sat back. It looked at the humans. They smiled. They clapped. They tossed meat. The war became play, not death. The survey team came back often. They watched from high. They sent drones. They took pictures. They wrote angry reports. Humans contaminate the specimen. The juvenile shows altered behavior, bonding to inferior species. They demanded the steady hand leave. They threatened fines. They threatened force. Reyes answered calm every time. "We hurt nothing, we help one scared kid. Go study your own shadows." One clear afternoon, the survey shuttle landed hard again. The aliens stepped out with more gear, bigger darts, stronger nets. The tall one spoke loud. "This ends today. We take the subject for relocation and study." The cub heard the voices. It smelled the sharp scent of alien fear and tools. It rose from its nap beside the fire. Its body huge now, almost full-grown. Its muscles rolled under fur. It walked slow to stand between the aliens and the humans. Its tail lashed once. Its blue lines blazed like fire. It growled long and low. The sound shook leaves from nearby trees. Reyes put a hand on the cub's shoulder. "Calm, boy. We got this." The cub did not move. It planted all 6 legs wide. It bared teeth long and white. The aliens raised their dart guns. The plant being rustled nervous. The scaly one clicked fast. Maria whispered, "He won't let them take us." The tall alien aimed first. The dart gun hummed, ready. The cub roared louder. It leaped forward. One powerful jump. It slammed into the shuttle's landing leg. Metal bent with a loud crunch. The shuttle tilted hard. The alien stumbled back. The tall one dropped his gun. The plant being vines curled tight. The cub landed soft. It spun fast. It faced the aliens again. No blood, no kill, just warning. It stepped closer. Slow, the growl never stopped. The aliens backed up. They climbed into the broken shuttle. The engines whined. The craft lifted, shaky. It flew away fast, leaving smoke and silence. Jax whooped loud. "That's our boy." Doc checked the cub quick. No injuries, just dust on fur. The animal shook itself, then rubbed against Reyes' leg hard. Almost knocked the man down. Reyes laughed and hugged the thick neck. "You big softy." Word spread fast through the survey channels, then to other ships, then to trade routes. A lone Vorath juvenile stopped a research team. It guarded humans. It refused capture. The galactic nets lit up with talk. What kind of species bonds like that? What kind of animals learn trust so quick? Other Vorath cubs on KLV started to change. Some stopped fighting shadows so hard. Some wandered near human outposts. They sniffed air. They watched from trees. A few came close. They accepted food. They played clumsy shadow games. The young ones matured faster. Fewer died from self-hurt. Planet felt different. The survey team filed official complaints. They called for sanctions. They said humans broke every rule. Reyes' crew answered with video feeds. The cub, healthy, strong, happy. The shadow no longer enemy, just part of life. The aliens watched the clips silent. They had no good reply. Nights grew cooler. The humans sat around the fire. The cub lay close, its head on Reyes' lap. The man told old stories about Earth. Dogs, cats, kids fighting mirrors. The cub listened, rumble soft. Its blue lines glowed gentle like night stars. One evening, the cub stood up. It walked to a clear spot. It looked at its own shadow long under moonlight. It lifted one paw slow. The shadow lifted too. The cub swiped once, light, no anger. Then it sat back. It looked at Reyes. It rumbled deep. The man nodded. "You win, kid. Every day you win." The bond grew roots deep. The cub followed the humans on short hunts. It guarded camp when they slept. It warned of big predators with low growls. The team felt safe in ways they never expected on a wild world. The survey ship left orbit for good. They marked the site restricted, but not for humans, for their own safety. The steady hands stayed longer. Supplies ran low, but no one wanted to leave yet. The cub, now called Stubbs by the crew, grew bigger still, its shoulders wide, its tail thick. It moved like a king of the jungle, but it still played like a cub. It chased shadows for fun. It guarded friends with fierce love. One day, Maria set up the last mirror game. She stood the mirrors in a circle. The cub walked inside. It saw itself everywhere, reflections on all sides. It froze for a second. Then it laughed, a deep rumbling sound. It pawed at one mirror, gentle, then another. It spun slow. It watched every shadow copy perfect. No fear, just wonder. The humans clapped and cheered. Stubbs joined the circle. Its big shadow mixed with theirs. The shapes overlapped, danced together. No war left, just pack, just family. The jungle accepted the change. Louder insects hummed. Soft rains washed clean the small camp. The big black Vorath and the strange humans lived together. They shared food, they shared games, they shared trust. The old shadow stayed always, but now it had company. Many shadows stood beside it. Human shadows, Vorath shadows, mirror shadows, all part of one big story. The war ended not with death, but with play, not with hate, but with hands and paws reaching across the ground. Stubbs looked at the sky. Sometimes it watched ships pass high. It rumbled soft, then lay down, head on Ray's knee. The man scratched ears gentle. The bond held strong. The days stretched long and good. The future waited bright and open. Years passed, quiet and steady on KLV. The jungle grew thicker in some places, thinner in others, where humans cut small paths. The rains still came hard. The sun still burned bright. The big black Vorath named Stubbs reached full size. His shoulders rolled wide. His tail swept thick. His 6 legs carried him like a king through trees and clearings. His fur stayed glossy black. His blue lines glowed fierce when he hunted, or guarded, or played. The steady-hand crew stayed longer than planned. Captain Reyes grew older. Gray touched his hair. Lines deepened around his eyes, but his laugh stayed loud. Maria kept fixing gear. Jax flew short runs for supplies. Doc patched small hurts on humans and on Stubbs. The camp turned into a real home. Strong tents, a bigger fire pit, even a small garden with earth seeds that grew strange on alien soil. Stubbs followed them everywhere. He hunted with the team. He brought back fresh kills. He dropped them at Reyes's feet, proud and rumbling. Night, his big body circled the tents. His ears flicked at every sound. His growl warned off night predators. The humans slept safe because of him. The shadow games never stopped completely. When the sun climbed high, Stubbs sometimes stood still. He looked at his long black shape on the ground. He lifted one paw slow. The shadow copied perfect. He swiped once, light. No real anger, just habit. Then he shook himself and walked away. The old war turned into memory, a story the crew told new visitors. Word of Stubbs spread far. Traders came to Kale 6. They landed careful. They asked to see the famous Vorath, the one who fought his own reflection, then made friends with humans. Reyes let them watch from safe distance. Stubbs showed off. He chased his shadow, playful. He tackled Jax, gentle. He sat beside Reyes, head on the man's knee. The visitors stared, mouths open. They took pictures. They sent messages back home. The galaxy learned about the cub who declared war and won in a new way. Changed 2 young ones, born after Stubbs stopped hurting themselves so much. Some wandered near human posts. They sniffed air. They watched games. They accepted food, slow at first, then eager. The species grew stronger. Fewer died young. The jungle felt alive with less lonely fights. The survey aliens never came back strong. The finds they threatened never landed. The Galactic Council watched quiet. They saw data, fewer deaths, more bonds. They marked KLVI special, a place where rules bent for good reason. Humans got quiet credit. Reckless empathy, they called it. One busy trading day, pirates showed up. 3 small ships, fast and mean. They wanted cargo. They wanted the steady hand. They landed hard near the camp, weapons hot, engines loud. The crew grabbed what they could. Maria pulled a rifle. Jack started the shuttle. Doc hid supplies. Reyes stood calm. He looked at Stubbs. The big Vorath already rose. Fur bristled. Blue lines blazed like lightning. The pirates stepped out. 6 of them. Armored. Loud. They shouted demands. They pointed guns. Reyes raised hands. Slow. Easy, boys. No need for this. The pirate leader laughed. He saw Stubbs. He pointed. Look at the big pet. We take that too. Worth a fortune. Stubbs growled deep. The sound rolled through trees. Leaves shook. The pirates froze a little. Stubbs moved forward. Slow, every step heavy. His shadow stretched huge under the afternoon sun. Long, black, perfect. The pirates turned spotlights on their ships. Bright beams hit the ground. New shadows appeared, sharp and strange. Stubbs saw them. His blue lines flared brighter. He charged, not at the pirates, first at the shadows on the ground. He leaped high. He slammed paws down. He roared loud. The fake shadows flickered under his weight. The pirates stumbled, confused. What the hell is it doing? Reyes smiled. That's our boy. Go get him. Stubbs spun fast. He used the confusion. He rushed the closest pirate. The man fired wild shots. Missed. Stubbs hit him shoulder first. Armor cracked. Back. Stubbs did not bite. He knocked him down, then moved to the next. The pirates shot again. Bullets sparked off rocks. Stubbs dodged low, 6 legs fast. He tackled another. He roared in the man's face. The pirate dropped his gun, ran. Maria and Jax fired careful shots, not to kill, just to push back. Doc threw smoke bombs. Thick gray clouds rose. The pirates coughed. They yelled. They backed toward their ships. Stubbs chased shadows again. When spotlights moved, he attacked the dark shapes first. He made chaos. He made fear. The leader shouted, "Retreat! Get out now!" The ship's engines screamed. They lifted fast. One ship tilted wrong. Stubbs had bent a landing leg earlier. The craft wobbled, then crashed soft into trees. The pirates inside scrambled out. Stubbs stood over them. He growled low. No attack. Just guard. The men threw weapons down, hands up. Reyes walked forward, slow. Good choice, he said. Tie him up, Jax. The crew secured the pirates. They called for pickup from a neutral station. Towed the cargo. Stayed safe. The day ended with firelight and stories. The pirates sat quiet. They stared at Stubbs. The big Vorath lay beside Reyes. Head on paws. Blue lines dimmed. Calm again. One pirate spoke quiet. That thing fights its own shadow first, then us. Never seen anything like it. Reyes scratched Stubbs' ears. He wins every time, he said. Against himself, against strangers, against whatever comes. The crew laughed. Stubbs rumbled soft, almost a purr. The jungle night wrapped around them, warm and safe. Years later, Reyes sat old now on a camp chair. His hands shook a little. Stubbs lay close, big body warm against the man's legs. The Vorath grayed a bit at muzzle, but still strong, still fierce. The shadow game slowed. Stubbs chased less. He watched more. He guarded with calm power. A new ship landed. Traders again. They brought gifts, food, tech, stories. They asked about the legend, the Vorath who declared war on his silhouette. Reyes smiled weak. He pointed at Stubbs. Right there. Still fighting. Still winning. Stubbs lifted his head slow. He looked at the new humans. He rumbled deep welcome sound. He stepped forward. His shadow fell long across the ground. He lifted one old paw. The shadow copied perfect. He swiped once, gentle, then sat back. He leaned against Reyes. The man rested a hand on thick fur. The traders watched, quiet. One spoke soft. He still checks his rival. Reyes nodded. Every day, he reminds himself who he is. Then he reminds us who we are. The fire crackled soft. The jungle sang its night song. Stubbs' shadow mixed with Reyes' shadow. Human and Vorath together. No fight, just overlap. No war, just pack. The galaxy kept turning. Ships came and went. Stories grew tall. Traders told kids about the cub who saw his shadow and fought hard, then learned to love it. Humans got called many things: stubborn, crazy, kind, unstoppable. On HFY, they earned a new name: Shadow Friends, the ones who stand with you when the dark shape scares you most. Stubbs lived long for his kind. He died quiet. One clear morning, head on Rhea's lap, the man cried silent tears. He buried the big body under a wide tree. The crew marked the spot with stones and mirrors, so light always danced there. Rhea's stayed on the planet. He grew older still. He told the story to anyone who listened. The cub who declared war on his own silhouette, and won, not by killing, but by sharing, not by hate, but by play. He taught us humans can turn enemies into family, even when the enemy is yourself. The jungle kept growing. New Voroth cubs played near the tree. They chased shadows gentle. They looked at mirrors curious. They rumbled soft when humans came close. The legacy lived on, strong and bright. Reyes sat by the grave one last evening. Sun low, shadows long. He looked at his own dark shape on the ground. He lifted a shaky hand. The shadow lifted too. He smiled small, then whispered, "Good fight, kid. You won. We all won." The wind blew soft. Leaves rustled. The jungle answered quiet. Shadows stretched far. It covered the stones. It covered the man. It covered the memory. No end, just story. No war, just peace forever.